Well, folks, a little quiet to begin this program, but good evening, WNBA and women's basketball fans, and welcome into the WNBA 365 Network, your 24/7, 365 comprehensive home for everything revolving around the WNBA and the rest of the women's basketball universe. Back with you, folks, this evening with a one-man show for the time being. We will be joined momentarily or sometime during this program by our outstanding co-host, Crystal Thomas, who is on her way back right now from the Sparks Sky game in downtown Los Angeles, still hanging out down there, and she'll be joining us on her way back to her place. Welcome in, folks, to tonight's edition of WNBA 365, one-man show, Week 5 Central, beginning the new week of WNBA scheduling, folks. And also, we do apologize last night for kind of giving you guys short notice about the show being off air. That's kind of on my end, but I do have a pretty packed week of baseball disc jockeying this upcoming week. So I had a game yesterday, run a bit late, and then get back home at a decent time, so we weren't able to do our program last night, and we do apologize for that. But we are back, though, folks. Again, as we mentioned, again, Crystal Thomas will be joining us during this program. She is going to be joining us again on her way back from tonight's Chicago-Los Angeles game. With that, though, folks, up until then, we'll be hanging out here for a bit, but give me 1 second real quick. We will get we will be able to recap tonight's games momentarily. But while we are sort of in a holding pattern here, as we do give Crystal some time, that does remind me, folks, that there are a few network programming show schedule updates I need to pass along to you folks tonight. So we'll do that. But also, as always, Facebook and Twitter are wide open for you folks this evening. Of course, it is facebook.com/WNBA365, or hit us up on Twitter. It's at Calamac3, at WNBA365, at Calamac3, or at Pup1010 with the hashtag WNBA365 this evening. Now, folks, the show schedule updates I want to pass along to you folks quickly. We will be adding in another Host Eye View coming up in 2 weeks on June 30th. From Staples Center. I will actually be able to attend the Sparks Dream game that afternoon. Again, so that is one thing we want to pass on again, is we will have another Host Eye View for you folks at 12:30 Pacific time from Staples when the Sparks take on Atlanta. That is going to be on June 30th. That is a Thursday afternoon game about the same time. They also have a 12:30 game, of course, next Tuesday versus Minnesota. So, of course, trying to get some of those 12:30 games out of the way, but we'll be having a Host Eye View there. Perhaps a double take or a double down effect of Host Eye View. If, in fact, Crystal Thomas can make it to that game on Thursday afternoon, it'll be both Crystal and myself handling Host Eye View from Staples that evening. And then, folks, in July, now I know that we're a long ways away from July, but we're getting there pretty close with how fast 2016 has been going by, folks. But a quick alert for you folks as well. I will be out of San Diego on a vacation to the Hawaiian Islands the week of July 20th. Through August 1st, and I know that there are a few games before the Olympic break, but we will not be on air at all during that break. We'll be having our little mini vacation. Now, once August 1st does roll around, folks, and I do get back home from Honolulu, we will be diving into Olympic coverage of the women's basketball tournament being held in Rio de Janeiro from the time it starts to the time it ends. So instead of WNBA 365, we'll be bringing back our FIBA 365 show, but instead of that, it's going to be our Olympic 365 show. We'll be breaking down all the games, of course, across the entire Olympic tournament. But we will actually, folks, be sending out some more information in regards to these three key dates again: July 20th, or excuse me, that is June 30th, July 20th, and August 5th again. Which is once more again, but again, Host Eye View just added this evening, or earlier today, I should say, Sparks and Dream on June 30th from Staples Center, 12:30 Pacific tip-off time, 3:30 Eastern that afternoon. July 20th through August 1st, I'm going to be on vacation, but the entire network will be shut down on vacation from Honolulu that weekend, or for that week. So that, again, that is July 20th through August 1st, and then we will be diving into our Olympic coverage during the 2016 Olympic break. So even in spite of the fact there's being no WNBA basketball, folks, we will update you though, and keep you posted on the network during the course of the women's basketball Olympic tournament as well. So again, we will reiterate those three dates for you folks during the course of tonight's program. But once more, just for the sake of it, again, June 30th another edition of Instagram Host Eye View featuring myself and perhaps KT from the Sparks Dream Game at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern on June 30th. And then again, the network will be shut down from July 20th through August 1st. I know that we'll be missing a few games here and there, but we will be gone on vacation on July 20th up until August 1st. And then once August 5th does roll around for the Olympics, we will be covering the Olympic Games right here for the women's basketball tournament, at least here on the WNBA 365 network. With that, folks, we'll now sort of get a one-man take here for the 4 games tonight in the WNBA. Plenty of games today, great games as well this evening, played across the W tonight, starting off with the scoreboard tonight. Washington in a triple OT thriller over Connecticut, 109-106. New York edges Dallas 91-88. Minnesota now beats their own record. They now go to 11-0 on the season, 87-63. San Antonio gets by Seattle 77-70. And the Sparks go to 10-0 for the first time in franchise history, 98-85 over Chicago. As now, folks, we now joining the hangout here by our our outstanding colleague Crystal Thomas on her way back to her place from Staples Center tonight. Crystal, good to see you. How's it going tonight?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. It is going very, very well, other than the traffic from E3 that it took to get here and back, but it is going well.
And again, Chris, like I just said, told the viewers at home, but again, folks, Host Eye View featuring me and perhaps Crystal right now again on June 30th when the Sparks take on Atlanta at 12:30 in the afternoon. So again, Crystal, I told folks, perhaps you, that again, of course, is depending on what your day may look like on a Thursday afternoon. But Crystal, if in fact you're there, I'm sure we'll be able to get together and have a good time at the game.
Yes, I still don't know yet. It's too far ahead, but if I am there, yes, we will have so much fun.
So again, folks, we'll get to the scoreboard again now that we have Crystal in here again, folks. As we said, Crystal just leaving downtown LA and leaving Staples Center. Of course, they had the E3 virtual gaming convention at the LA Convention Center, Kitty Corner from Staples Center. A lot of actually a few friends of Crystal and myself actually did not go to the Sparks game because they didn't want to deal with that traffic. But Crystal toughed it out and went to the game night regardless. So Crystal, we'll now go out to the first game at least that ended today. It was a triple overtime thriller. KT Washington wins their 5th game of the year, and again, it's their 5th win, but again, their 5th win away from home this season. In a triple OT thriller, final score tonight, 109-106. The Mystics over the Sun. Emma Meeseman, 28 points. Taylor Hill, 21. Bria Hartley with 13. Kia Vaughn with 12. Tiara Ruffin-Pratt and Stephanie Dawson with 9 each as well. Kalia Copper with 8. Natasha Cloud with 7. Ivory Lotta with 5. And Tiana Hawkins with 2, Allie Mollett and Jamie Weisner all held out of the game. Coach's decision. For the Sun, Alex Bentley's 31 points, not enough for the Sun. Kelsey Bone, 22, Jasmine Thomas, 14, Morgan Tuck and Shania Gumake with 12 points each. Camille Little with 6, Shakina Strickland with 6, Kelly Ferris with 3, Jonquo Jones and Rachel Bannon both held scoreless in the game, and Anika Henry Morello and Alyssa Thomas held scoreless, actually held out of the game due to coach's decision. The game played from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, CT. 4,442 in the building. Time of the game, 2 hours and 42 minutes. Much like my baseball game today, the officials today were Roy Goldbein, Jeff Wooten, and Kate Lukrich in the game today. 19 lead changes and 17 times the game was tied. So Crystal, as much as we talk about the Mystics scuffling at home, they can win games pretty much in any scenario. And again, Crystal, a triple overtime game goes the way of the Mystics tonight. And again, it was pretty even, or was even in the first 2 overtime periods. But Crystal, mentally as a player, I know that you only kind of hope and pray for only the 40 minutes to be played. But Crystal, how mentally tough and taxing is it on a player to play so many extra periods or so many extra innings in your mind when you have to go through so many extra sessions of playing, after regular time is scheduled to play?
Okay, am I still here? Because I hit a rough patch. I heard what you said, but it kind of went in and out. Am I still here?
Yes.
Okay, so to answer your question, it's mentally and physically taxing. You have to be ready. You have to be ready for games like this. I mean, you never know as a pro athlete, you never know what type of game you're going to have or what type of day any of the people you're playing against is going to have. So it's up to you to be mentally focused and mentally ready every time you step on that court or every time you step off that plane to a new city, to wherever you're playing. But I mean, I know they're going to be really tired. There's going to be a lot of tired bodies for the next game. But even though the score and the fact that they went to 3 overtimes was impressive, if you look at that game, nobody was really playing that much defense. It was kind of just like back and forth Papa Shot. If you guys don't know what Papa Shot is, this is the little arcade basketball games you play. But I mean, it's amazing. I watched a little bit of it while I was in Staples. But it was interesting to see. I think that's the most overtime games they've had this year so far. So I wonder if anybody can beat it. I highly doubt it. But I mean, I was tired just looking at them.
Crystal, the longest baseball game I can recall being at or watching was when the Padres had played Colorado in a 22-inning game. So that's the benefit, or actually that's the equivalent of playing 2 games, 9 and 18 innings plus 19, 20, 21, 4 more. So that's almost 2 1/4 games. The longest hockey game I've either seen or watched was a 13-round shootout in a regular season game in October. So it's like, not only as a fan, but also as a player, though, I mean, you have to be, as you said, mentally tough to block out all the stuff going on in regards to the game being, it's like, can this game end already, and so on and so forth. And Crystal, I mean, Alex Bentley was hot tonight, 31 points, but Crystal, again, as we've talked about, though, with the Sun, there's still something there. I mean, we may not know what it is in regards to why or how they've struggled so much. But Crystal, I mean, for them to lose, this is a heartbreaking loss. I mean, you play a team to 3 overtimes and end up on the wrong end of it. Crystal, we talk about everyone being tired, but Crystal, how does this one, I guess, kind of sink in though for the Sun? You played your heart out for almost for 7 periods of basketball. You played 7 quarters tonight, but yet you still weren't able to get the job done tonight. How does that also, I guess, make an athlete feel after playing so long, but again, not having enough to finish the game off and win the game?
It's draining. It's draining mentally and physically, but, you always have to look ahead. There's another game. I mean, it sucks that you've played, as you said, pretty much, 7 quarters, 3 overtimes, trying to win the game, but you can't dwell in the game that just passed. You got to look forward. There's more games left. There's more season left. So it is mentally frustrating and it is draining, but you gotta look ahead for the next one.
And with that, by the way, guys, and Crystal, I would probably agree. Todd says not only one of the more incredible nights of games in recent memory, but also Todd also says the most amazing games of the year perhaps were played tonight, perhaps in the WNBA. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you saw the Sparks set a record going 10-0. You saw Minnesota going 11-0. You saw 3 overtimes. You saw San Antonio get a pretty nice win. I believe they won. I was gonna say, I remember seeing that game before the Sparks game started. So you saw some really good games today. I mean, it's honestly this year for the WNBA has been pretty interesting so far. I mean, this is just only the beginning for the next 20 so years, hopefully. But it's just been a really spectacular year so far for the WNBA as far as games go.
With that, we'll now move folks, to a game just down the road, you can say, from Uncasville at Madison Square Garden in New York. Dallas and New York hooking up tonight for the second time of 3 matchups. New York edges Dallas 91-88. Pretty much the game decided towards the end, but also a 34-point quarter for the 34-second quarter for the Libs in the game. For the Wings, Karima Christmas with 21 to lead the way. Odyssey Sims with 19 and along as well with Courtney Paris with 19. Aaron Phillips with 12, Ariel Powers with 8, Glory Johnson and Jordan Hooper all with 5, Cleanette Pearson with 4, and Skylar Diggins in her first start only 1 point from the charity stripe. Teresa Plaisance, 3 minutes played, no points. Ruth Hamlin and Brianna Kessel held out of the game. Coach's decision. For the New York Liberty, once more, it's the two-headed monster of Tina Charles and Sugar Rogers leading the way. Charles with 28 points, Rogers with 18, Shavante Zellis with 9, Carolyn Swords with 8, Kia Stokes and Shoni Schimmel with 7 apiece. Swin Cash and Brittany Boyd all with 5. Tanisha Wright with 2, also scoring the night as well with 2 points, was Amanda Zowie B, Aduke Bolgak, and Lindsey Harding, both DNPs tonight. And also, as we said, Harding still dealing with some overseas commitments she's still dealing with right now. The game played from the Madison Square Garden in New York, a total attendance this evening, 7,939. Time of the game, 1 hour and 58 minutes. The officials tonight were Kurt Walker, Aaron Smith, and Byron Jarrett. 11 lead changes, and 8 times the teams were tied. So, Crystal, starting off with Dallas. Now, they have really, sadly, kind of fallen by the wayside. They have faltered after the loss tonight, Crystal, from the upper top to the 11th spot right now in the WNBA 365 Network ranking system, falling all the way from being in the middle of the road now to the bottom half. And also as well with Skylar Diggins working her way back finally. Crystal, good to see her back though too, starting the night as well, but again only had 1 point. But Crystal, what has been the big difference for Dallas since the early part of the year as of now, where they now are 3-7 at this point in the season?
I don't think there really is a difference. I mean, it happens. There's going to be good days and bad days. I mean, unfortunately, Dallas has had a lot of bad days, but a lot of their losses actually were close losses. So I don't think there's really any difference. I just think, I mean, the season is still pretty early. I mean, I think we should start panicking once, what is this, June? Probably like July hits. Then I think you can start pressing the panic button for a lot of these teams. But I just think they hit a rough patch. And like you said, I mean, they did just get Glory Johnson and Skylar Diggins back, who are also trying to play back into their, play back into shape. So I expect them to go on a little run. Not sure how much of a run, but I think I mean, it's still too early to see if they're going to make the playoffs or not, but they might towards the end be in like the middle of the pack to figure out if they make it or not. But I don't think right now it's too much of a difference.
Crystal, Skylar Diggins starts her first game this year, and obviously it's a game to forget, but again, she's still working her way back, though, from that ACL injury. Again, only had 1 point of free throw, 23 minutes and 59 seconds officially she played, so technically 24 minutes played, 0 of 6 from the field, 0 for 4 for beyond the arc, and again, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 50% shooting, and that was her only point tonight. Had 1 turnover this evening as well. So, Chris, we know that it takes time, for players to come back from injury, but Crystal, in your mind, what is your over-under of how many games it'll take for both Flojo and Skydig to get back, to 100% when they get back to playing shape in your mind?
I'm so sorry. My GPS started talking. Can you please repeat that sentence? I'm so sorry.
In 500 feet, you will turn right onto South Figueroa Street. No, I'm just kidding. In your mind, Crystal, how long do you think it's going to take, though, for, obviously with Diggins coming back from injury, Johnson coming back though from the off-season nonsense, how many games do you think it normally, or do you think it's going to take for these two to get back, to full strength in your mind?
I heard you that time, even though my GPS kept interrupting. I honestly, for Skylar, so she's just coming back from an ACL. It may take a little bit. I think since Glory's been playing for almost a week, she's been playing for 3-4 games now. I think she'll be more acclimated faster than Skylar, but I think once Skylar gets the hang of it, I think Dallas is going to go back to being how dangerous they were and how dangerous we thought they could be. But right now it's just, they're trying to get their timing back. 7 games was a lot for Glory, and I mean, Skylar was out pretty much almost a year and a half with that injury. So I think they'll get it, and once they get it, I think we got to start putting some, as they would say, some respect on Dallas's name again.
Crystal, one point I wanted to bring up with the Liberty, and actually one of our good correspondents, Myron Crawford, who's now writing for Sue Favor on womenshoopsworld.com, actually brought this point up, and I thought, how did I forget or not say this, during the course of this? About how much Charles and Rodgers have meant so far. But people forget, though, that everyone thought that pretty much Epiphany Prince was going to be the main culprit as well to score, but again, she's done for at least half the year with that ACL injury. But people forget, though, they lost Essence Carson to L.A. and lost Candace Wiggins to retirement as well, which was one reason why I think, though, that New York has kind of struggled a bit, though, too, is with Prince being gone with them as well. I think, though, as well, that Carson and Wiggins not being there also is kind of also one thing that I think is also kind of hampering the Liberty. And also, as we said again about, Tina Charles carrying the load and, carrying the burden of the scoring for the Liberty. So, Crystal, do you probably agree, though, with Myron's point, though, again, about, not just Prince, but also those other 2 players being gone, as also a talking point, though, in regards to why the Liberty maybe have had to rely so heavily on Tina Charles to score as well?
Definitely. I don't think people realize how much, and if you're watching the Sparks play, you can see it now. I don't think people realize how much Essence Carson was a factor to New York. Once Bill got there, I will say, her fitting that system was a little shaky, but as you can see, Essence has come to LA and has been dominating. She's a big part of the reason why they're 10-0. And as far as Piff, I mean, they would really love to have her back. They really don't have an established point guard running things right now. As you say, Harding is overseas. Piff is injured. Boyd's still pretty much learning. She's only a second-year player, so she's still going to have to figure things out. So they really do miss them. I mean, Sugar Rogers is doing well, but like we talked about before, we don't want those two to burn out. Because once those two burn out, I mean, it's really downhill from there unless they can find out who could be their third scorer for them consistently. But I mean, I agree. I would have to agree with him.
So again, Liberty edged the Wings 91-88. Moving on now to a historical game, or a historic game in Minneapolis. The Lynx crushed the Fever 87-63 with that victory. The Lynx now have broken their own record for the best start in WNBA history when they started 10-0 in 2012, following their first title in 2011. For the Fever tonight, not a pretty day at the office again for the Fever. Orlando Larkins leading the way with 12 points. Tiffany Mitchell with 11, Lena Kaiser with 10, Marissa Coleman and Erica Wheeler with 8 each this evening. Janice Johnson with 4, Brianne January and Natalie Achanwa with 3 each. Tamika Catchings and Devereux Peters with 2 each. Green Mosley, no points in 2 minutes played, and Maggie Lucas, again, done for the year with that torn ACL. For the Minnesota Lynx tonight, Maya Moore, 16 points, Simone Augustus with 12, Sylvia Fowles and Gia Perkins with 11 each, Rebecca Brunson with 10, Renee Montgomery with 9, Natasha Howard with 7, Lindsay Whalen and Janelle McCarville with 4 each, Keisha Hampton with 3, and Bashara Graves, no points in 2 minutes played. The game played from the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Total attendance tonight, 7,623. Time of the game, 1 hour and 56 minutes. And only one time the game was tied, and the lead did not change hands in this ball game tonight. Crystal, first and foremost, I do want to bring up one point, though, from the historical side of the thing. And again, this isn't, to jinx anybody, but it is the facts, and stating facts here again. The last time, though, Crystal, that Minnesota started this well, they did not win the WNBA title in 2012. They were, of course, beaten by the same Indiana team. So, Crystal, I know that we have history here, but again, as we said, though, history has not really repeated itself in WNBA lore. Of course, you have not had back-to-back champs since LA in 01 and 02, and also the same year that Minnesota got off to such a good start like this, they did not win the title. So, Crystal, obviously, what are your thoughts, though, I guess, about what the 11-0 start in your mind kind of means in your mind?
I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, Minnesota's just playing really, really, really good basketball. I mean, if you guys, whoever you guys may be, if you guys just look at that record and completely just hate on it, I don't know what to say. I mean, they're playing some really good basketball. I mean, look at that. Lindsay Whalen had 4 points and they still won. I mean, granted, Lindsay Whalen really hasn't she's been a factor, but not much of a factor this year. But that just lets you know how strong their team is when their starting point guard could have 4 points and they still blow Indiana out the water like that. It's impressive to me. I mean, they're playing really good. I mean, it's that game on June 21st is looking more and more epic by the second, by the day, really.
Chris, we'll get to that, though, but there's still some hurdles for both those teams in the way, though, before we get to that epic matchup that could perhaps be a battle of unbeaten behemoths from Staples next Tuesday. But, Crystal, as we go back now to Indiana, and again, we've really tried to talk about, what has plagued the Fever, and we've kind of brought up, though, about what's going to be happening over the offseason and this and that. And I think, though, I also saw that Stephanie White had also, Crystal, changed her Twitter Abby and her Twitter photo or header as well, so that's one indication or something small, though. But, Crystal, though, to see Tamika Catchings, though, with only 2 points in 15 minutes played, there is definitely some problems right now in Indiana that, I'm not sure that we can really diagnose on here. We haven't really diagnosed any problems with the Fever as of late, but, Crystal, what really has changed, though, for the Fever in your mind during these past couple of games and weeks?
I think it's focus. I mean, I think that's Stephanie White announcement really changed a lot of things. If you remember in the beginning of the season, they were playing pretty well. I mean, yeah, it was still early. I mean, technically now, like I said, teams shouldn't put the panic button now until, I guess, like July. And then, a little bit before Olympic break, that's when teams should really start, panicking. But they were playing fairly well before that announcement got out. And after that announcement got out, I don't know if anybody's noticed, they've kind of started playing with no sense of urgency. They kind of started playing with, well, she's not going to be here, so what are we kind of doing? And then, I mean, I don't really know if it's chemistry, but I think, especially for some of the vets, it messed them up as far as, like, okay, who's going to be here? This just switches everything. But I could be wrong, but it just seems like ever since that announcement came out that she would be going to Vanderbilt, things have slowly changed.
Yeah, but there's been something very, very, something strange going on. And also, Crystal's, well, this was also the third stop for Tamika Catchings on her TC24 Forever legacy tour going on during. She's going to be having a designated game on the road at each WNBA city, where she's going to be having, a full-on, Q&A and a full auction and a full post-game dinner with fans that buy tickets to her website. Crystal, what I heard and gathered from Ben W., one of our very good friends on Twitter, at least, that Catch had donated about $2,000, I think, to the Lynx Foundation after tonight's game. So obviously, Crystal, this is more than for TC's case, Crystal, this is more than the Olympics and more about the season, but giving back to all these cities that she's played for, and she has entertained for 10, 12, 15 plus years in the WNBA. Crystal, what's your final takeaway though about Tamika's very good parting gift to the Lynx, and $2,000 she donated from her foundation to the Lynx and their team foundation as well?
You know what? That's actually really dope. I mean, she did the same thing when she played against New York. Her foundation raised money for other people's foundations, and I think that just lets you know how awesome Tamika Catchings is. It's her legacy tour, and yet she's still doing great things for other people. She's still not thinking about herself. She's still thinking about the kids that she's trying to help and all the other foundations that she wants to give for. So that just lets you know how awesome of a person Tamika Catchings is during her legacy tour. And it's going to be sad to see her, leave, but at the same time, she's a legend, and she definitely will be a Hall of Famer one day.
Yeah, so again, folks, hopefully in 2021, after she retires for 5 years, Catch will be in the Hall of Fame, and hopefully she'll be in the Hall of Fame alongside my man Steve Nash in the coming few years in 2020 or 2021. But again, the final score, the Lynx win 87-63 to clinch the, as of right now, the best start in WNBA history, now at 11-0 to begin their 2016 campaign. Crystal, a nail-biting finish in San Antonio. The Stars outshined the Storm 77-70 from AT&T Center. For Seattle, it is Brianna Stewart with 19 points, Jewel Lloyd with 17, Alicia Clark with 14, Sue Bird with 7, Kalena Mosqueda-Lewis with 5, Crystal Langhorne with 4, and Ramu Tokushiki with 2, also scoring 2 points as well, was Jenna O'Hay, Monica Wright, and Abby Bishop held scoreless tonight. Blake Diedrich and Markeisha Gatling both without points this evening. Also not scoring as well was Wright and Abby Bishop, as mentioned. For the Stars, Moriah Jefferson with 19 points. Kayla McBride, 18, with a dagger 3 to put the Stars ahead for good late in the game in 32 minutes played. Derica Hamby with 15 points. Kayla Alexander with 6. Astor Nador with 5 points. Jane Appel Marinelli with 4 points. Haley Peters with 4. And also Sydney Colson also had 4. And Monique Curry had 2. Frida Eldbrink, no points in 5 minutes played. Jasmine Guathme and Alex Montgomery, DNP's coach's decision. The game played from the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas. The total attendance tonight, 3,319. Total time of the game, 1 hour and 52 minutes. Tony Dawkins, Tiffany Bird, and Tom Maurer, the officials in today's game. 1 tech issued on Seattle, and only tonight 2 times the lead changed hands in this game. So, Crystal, in spite of the fact that Seattle has still not fully crest the hump as of yet, they have still been battling from tip to final buzzer. And tonight, though, they got some pretty good production though out of both Stewie, the Gold Mamba, and also out of Alicia Clark tonight. But again, Sue Bird kind of retracted back to having the age factor show up again. Only had 7 points tonight after coming up a pretty good couple of games lately. But Crystal, what do you see though in regards to Seattle? Are they still showing some signs of promise, or still some signs though of being that young, inexperienced team coming up though in your mind?
I think they're showing signs of promise. I mean, you just said it. They're young. They're a young team, despite vets who've been there like Alicia Clark and Sue Bird, but they're still technically young. So I think, I give Seattle 3-4 years and they'll be, where they're supposed to be again. Not necessarily saying they'll make the playoffs, but they'll definitely be a better team. I mean, they're not bad now. I can see their effort. They're putting up a lot of effort in their games, and like you said, they only lost by 7. So I can see their effort. I think give Seattle a couple years, they'll be a way better team. But I mean, it's they're young. They have to get more experience first.
And quickly, folks, a quick tweet in our Twitter timeline from one of our good viewers, from Irene, from @justirene24. She says, Crystal, in regards to Indiana, she says, it's hard to fight for a coach that's leaving you for another team, even though it's college basketball in their mind. Crystal, do you agree with that? What do you think?
I agree. I've been in situations like that. tough to play for a coach who doesn't, my experience with Pierce, good example. It's tough to play for a coach who doesn't put out what he expects in you. If you want, honestly, that's why, I think that's what makes people like Cheryl Reeves and Brian Agler so good. I mean, their team believes in them. Whatever they're saying, the team believes it because he's showing them that they're showing them that they believe in the team. And I feel like, I'm not saying Stephanie White is not showing that she doesn't believe in her team, but the fact that she's leaving the way she's leaving, I think it's harder for her team to trust her in certain situations. So I can agree. I mean, it makes it a little bit tough. It makes it, it kind of makes you like, what am I doing here? She's leaving, so why should I give it my all?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And Irene, thank you for the tweet, and also thank you for joining us in tweeting in and joining us tonight on the program, and also for your viewership as of late. We know that you've been watching the past couple shows, and again, we thank you and appreciate you dropping by and saying hi. With that, Crystal, the Stars tonight, also they're kind of in the same boat, I'd say, with the Storm, as they have been in games, they have battled to the bitter end of games, either losing or winning a few games. And tonight, Crystal, they got a full team effort, it looks like, at least out of Jefferson, McBride, and then Derica Hamby. And Todd says, in regards to Hamby, that he says that the Stars had a good game. Hamby had at least 18 boards, and they were able to withstand the Seattle charge towards the end of the game. Crystal, what do you think, though, about seeing these three young kids, really putting this team on their back and carrying them to the finish line tonight? Again, very good game out of Jefferson, McBride, and Hamby. What do you think?
I mean, they are going to be the future of that team. They're young. They're going to be the big three, honestly. So you want to see that, especially from Hamby and Jefferson, who's in their rookie year and second year respectively, and McBride, who's definitely going to be the team leader of that team if she isn't already. I mean, I think she is, but that's what you want. You expect them. That's your big three. You expect them to go out there and play the way they did, and it was a good win for them. I mean, unfortunately, it came against a Seattle team that's still rebuilding, but for Seattle, I think, for San Antonio, any win right now will build their confidence. And it was a good win for them. A close win, but a good win. And I'm going to need MVP Curry to start scoring a little bit more points if she wants to help her team get over this hump.
2 words, hot wings. There you go. Final score again, folks. Stars over the Storm, 77-70. And then, Crystal, a game that you were at this evening from the big office in downtown LA, the LA Sparks continue their winning ways and win a franchise-best 10th straight game. They are now 10-0 to begin their 2016 campaign with a 98-85 mugging of the Chicago Sky from downtown LA this evening. Final box score for the Sky. Cappy Pondix, a great game for Cap, 20 points in the game. Elena Deladon with 15 points. Allie Quigley with 13. Courtney Vanderson with 11. Tamara Young with 9. Imani Boyette with 7. Erica De Souza with 6. Jamira Faulkner with 4. This evening, Jessica Breland and Clarissa Dos Santos both did not score in almost 10 minutes played, and then Benijah Laney and Cheyenne Parker both DNPs, either with injury or coach's decision. For the LA Sparks, the red-hot Nneka Ogwumike, the reigning Western Conference Player of the Week, 27 points, and finally missed her first 2 shots after going perfect in 3 consecutive games as of late. Candace Parker, after a rough start, 17 points to get herself back on top. Chrissy Tolliver with 16 points. Chelsea Gray with 12, and Essence Carson with 11 points tonight. Off the bench, Jantel Lavender with 8. Also scoring tonight, starting-wise, was Elena Beer with 7, Anna Dabovich on Wanderers, and Jelena Dublovich, both all 3 held scores tonight in spattering of minutes tonight. And Evgenia Belikova out tonight due to that broken finger, and Whitney Knight, coach's decision. The game played from the big office, Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles, California. Total attendance tonight, 7,348 from Staples tonight for Pride Night. Time of the game, 1 hour and 48 minutes. The officials tonight were Jeff Smith, Tom Nunez as well, and Vladimir Void-Tadel as the officials tonight. No texts and no times, the late change, and no times tonight. The teams were tied. So, Crystal, that right there sets this game apart from the rest. Was no tie scores, no lead changes. This was all Los Angeles this evening again, and they again moving to a franchise best 10-0 start for LA. Crystal, Nneka Ogwumike, I think, has been a under the radar player in her entire time with Los Angeles, and I think that perhaps this may be the time where Nneka may, in fact, get her own votes this time and not have to share those votes for MVP with CP3, because Nneka has been absolutely in fuego these past 3 games, and also by the way, from what we heard from the Sparks PR department folks, set the new WNBA record for most consecutive baskets made without a miss. That was set back in 2008. So, Crystal, what really have you seen differently out of Nneka Ogwumike these past couple games that maybe you haven't seen in recent seasons?
It got really robotic towards the end, so you're going to have to repeat all of that.
In regards to Nneka and this really big scoring issue she had, I think it was 66 minutes played or 66 minutes in general that she had not missed a basket. And again, she set a new record in that category. So, what have you seen differently, I guess, out of Nneka this season as opposed to maybe recent years or recent games?
For one, she's healthy. Last year she really wasn't as healthy as she wanted to be. And just honestly, I think it's just a better focus. I mean, this year the Sparks just seem they have a way better focus. They're really out for that ring. I mean, I think they believe now that it's now or never. They're not getting any younger. Elena Beer's 36 years old, 37 years old. I don't know if she's 30 yet, but she's getting up there in age. Candace Parker's 30. Her body's not getting any younger, so on and so forth. So I think they really feel like, okay, it is what it is now or never. We've been talking about how we're going to be the best for so long. Now let's actually show them why we think we are the best. And they're proving that next a really huge on why they're 11-0, 10-0. I'm getting ahead of myself. Can't do that. But they're she's showing a big piece on why they're 10-0. And honestly, I mean, like you said, if I could vote, I'd probably vote Nneka. I mean, she's been impressive. Like you said, just finally missed some shots after going, missless, if that's even a word, for the past few games. So Nneka's y'all gonna put some respect on Nneka's name.
Crystal, Todd actually wants to attribute the game as well, though, of how quickly the Sparks were able to establish Jantel Lavender in the game. She had 6 quick points off the bench to get her game started. And again, Crystal, we've talked about how good the first unit's been, Crystal. That second and third unit has been great, if not better than the first unit sometimes. I think that finally now that the Sparks got rid of this ridiculous 3-post starting lineup, that now that they can go with Nneka and CP on the floor to start the game, then go to Lav off the bench. I mean, either that second unit, that third unit, or even that garbage time unit, they have just been unstoppable and really have really set the tone, I think, for Los Angeles. Crystal, do you agree with that aspect?
I mean, you already know what I'm going to say. I'm happy LA finally has a bench. I think we're all happy. I mean, we've seen them struggle with that huge post lineup so many times, and especially last year, we're kind of just like, what are they doing? Why are they signing so many posts? But I'm excited. I've always said that LA needs a bench. They haven't had a bench like this in a while, and it's working. I mean, it's really working. It's now, honestly, they could start anybody or put anybody on the bench, and I think they'll still have the same outcome. But it's working, and I'm happy that it's working right now.
By the way, folks, to go back to the stat I brought up about Nneka Ogwumike and her hot streak, she had the Sparks PR department had just put this out about at 8:45 local time, but ESPN Women's Hoops had just quoted this tweet. But with 23 consecutive field goals without a miss, that's over a 3-game span. Nneka Ogwumike is now the WNBA record holder for most consecutive field goals without a miss. The previous record was 15 straight, set back in 2008. Player unknown at this point, but at this point in time again. But once more, again, to reiterate again, with 23 straight field goals without a miss over 3 games, Nneka Ogwumike set a new WNBA record for most consecutive field goals made. The previous record was 15 set in 2008. So, Crystal, now to the Sky. Now, again, this has been kind of a year so far where the Sky have kind of been wishy-washy and seesaw. They'll be great one game and kind of scuffle the next night. Crystal, from you being there, of course, and you putting down hot dogs and peanuts and whatnot from your courtside seat, I guess, Crystal, what would you probably say, though, has kind of been some differences in regards to either watching Chicago play on League Pass or watching the night? Because I think there's been some type of disconnect for Chicago on a game-to-game basis, it seems like. But what did you see tonight differently?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? There was a distraction. You said something about what's different from watching them on League Pass than in person?
Yeah, like I brought up here in regards to them, sort of, it's like kind of like how LA was a couple years ago, about how Chicago has been good or great one game and then like can't really score a lot of points again in the next game. And I guess with you being there again, having the courtside seat tonight, what did you probably see differently tonight as opposed to maybe other games you've seen from Chicago so far this season?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say probably getting Quigley or Sloot, they weren't as involved as they probably could have been. And I think if they would have played Imani more, I think Imani could have made a bigger impact. I don't remember if it was us or me and Shorty talking about it, but if they get Imani in there for longer, Imani can make a really big difference in the game. I think that was something that I didn't see. They really didn't have Imani in there. Jameer Faulkner really didn't play to her full abilities like we know she can. I'd say that's pretty much it because Cappy and all of them played like you would expect them to. But I would have to say probably Jameer Faulkner not playing to her capabilities is one.
Crystal, Todd actually has a different point to bring about this. He says he's going to actually attribute the Chicago tough game for how the Sparks had actually played defense on Deladon tonight. How about that? Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, EDD only having 15 points, I think, was a big difference. They had an answer for her today. As we all know, EDD is just not a player that you're going to always hold down, but they did a good job. I mean, even though I would say LA's defense wasn't how it's been the past, 9 games, their defense really played they played decent today. They played well enough to win a game. They came for blood. It was enough for the win, but I would say them holding down EDD probably was a big factor.
So again, folks, to revisit your Tuesday night scoreboard in the WNBA in triple OT, Mystics over the Sun 109-106, Liberty over the Wings 91-88, Lynx set a new league record for best start in WNBA history, going 11-0, 87-63 over the Fever, Stars over the Storm 77-70 in Los Angeles, goes to 10-0 in the season, Sparks over the Sky 98-85 to wrap up the Tuesday schedule. 2 games on your WNBA schedule for Wednesday. Actually, folks, I take that back. This is actually a league-wide off day today in regards to all the games played today. It is a league-wide off day for Wednesday. No games will be played up until Thursday coming up this week when we have 2 games coming up. So, again, no games on Wednesday or tomorrow, but games back on Thursday, 2 games on the schedule. Crystal, for Thursday's games, Liberty and Sun, and then the Storm and Wings, 4 o'clock, 5:30 tip-offs. Game for Liberty and Sun on League Pass or the MSG Plus network, and Storm and Wings on League Pass or Fox Sports Southwest for that contest. So, Crystal, we actually won't get predictions tonight since there's no games tomorrow, so we don't have to worry about that. But again, there is no games because, as I said again, no games on Wednesday for the WNBA. But I guess, Crystal, how about your final take and thoughts about the full slate of games tonight in the WNBA? Again, you have a new record with the Lynx, again 11-0. The Sparks go to 10-0 for the first time in franchise history. Nneka Ogwumike had her streak ended up 23 straight shots without a miss. Again, that's over a 3-game span. Triple overtime, Crystal. A lot to digest. But what do you think about tonight's action?
It was just a very action-packed day. I mean, like I said, this has probably been one of the best years so far for basketball in the WNBA. I know it's early, but it was very action-packed. I mean, other than the Fever game, obviously, because Minnesota is just out for blood. But other than that, it's been a really action-packed day for games, and I'm glad to have been a part of history with one game, and I'm glad that the games are very enjoyable today.
So again, folks, once more to revisit now, folks, we brought what I brought up at the top of the show, and it was a one-man show of record. Again, once more, some key dates to keep in mind again, folks. June 30th will be either a single or duo edition of WNBA 65 Instagram host eye view featuring myself, perhaps could be featuring Crystal. Again, that's going to be on June 30th when the Sparks take on the Atlanta Dream at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern. And then again, to reiterate again, but also for July, again, we'll be on a 2-week vacation, at least I'm going to be on vacation to Hawaii, beginning on July 20th and up until August 1st. So I'll be gone there. And then again, once the Olympics start, folks, again, we'll have full wall-to-wall coverage of the Olympic Games, at least coming up as well. That coming up in August, when in fact we do in fact have the Olympics again. So again, once more for the final time again, but once more, Host I View June 30th, Hawaii Vacation off air on July 20th through August 1st, and again Olympic discussion as well coming up for the Olympic Games here on the network coming up once more for the entire duration of the women's basketball Olympic tournament. With that, though, folks, up until tomorrow night, for Crystal Thomas joining us from Staples and from Los Angeles, California, this is Kyle McClurg signing off from Studio 171 in San Diego. Have a great night, folks. We'll talk to you folks back here tomorrow night on Wednesday evening, back here with Crystal, Marquez, and Shorty. Hopefully, will be joining us again back here tomorrow night. Till then, folks, have a great night, and see you back here mañana. Till then, good night, and bye-bye.